This is a machine built in the year 1206. It could tell time. It could play music. It could move a mechanical elephant's legs using nothing but falling water. Its inventor was a Muslim engineer named Ismail Al-Jazari. The device still works today. People have rebuilt it from his own notes. Al-Jazari spent most of his career as chief engineer to the Artukid rulers of Diyarbakir in what's now southeastern Turkey. He held that post under 3 successive kings, and his job wasn't theory. He built the machines the palace actually used, from fountains to security locks. And after 25 years of that work, he wrote it all down. The book is called The Book of Knowledge of Ingenious Mechanical Devices, finished in 1206, and it contains full construction plans for more than 50 machines, not sketches, working blueprints, precise enough that engineers 800 years later could build from them without ever meeting the man. The most famous of those machines is the elephant clock, and it rewards a close look because every part of it solves a separate mechanical problem. The base is a full-sized mechanical elephant, carrying a canopied platform on its back. Hidden inside the elephant's body is a large bowl floating in a tank of water. That bowl has a small, carefully sized hole in the bottom. Water drips in at a steady rate, and as the bowl fills, it sinks. A cord runs from the bowl over a pulley system to a chain of figures positioned around the elephant, and as the bowl descends, it pulls that cord and set a mechanical bird on top of the clock spins and whistles. A human figure inside the howdah strikes a drum. The elephant's rider shifts position. 2 dragons mounted on the sides tip forward, and as they move, they release one ball into the mechanism while catching another, resetting the whole cycle. Here's what makes it more than a novelty. Islamic prayer times were tied to the sun, not to fixed clock hours, which meant daylight hours changed length with the seasons. Al-Jazari calibrated the hole in that sinking bowl so precisely that his clock could track those shifting hours accurately, season after season. That's not decoration. The design was also a deliberate statement. The elephant represented the Indian and African world. The dragons came from Chinese design tradition. The turbaned rider and the phoenix on top drew from Persian and Egyptian visual language. Al-Jazari built a clock that was arcing modeled. The manuscript groups Al-Jazari's work into 6 categories, and the elephant clock is only one entry in the first. There are water clocks and candle clocks, drinking vessels and entertainment figures, pitchers and basins built for hand washing, fountains and perpetual flutes, water-raising machines, and a catch-all section covering locks, combination mechanisms, and a boat. Every entry follows the same format: a description of what the device does, a diagram, and construction instructions detailed enough to build from cold. That combination lock deserves a mention on its own. Al-Jazari designed a lock that required a specific sequence of letters to open, working on the same core principle as a modern combination lock, encoded not in a digital wheel, but in a mechanical one. It's a small entry in the book, easy to skip past next to something as visually dramatic as the elephant, but it's one more example of the same underlying habit. Identify a control problem, solve it mechanically, document it precisely enough that the solution outlives you. Now go past the elephant into the part of the manuscript most people never hear about, the crankshaft. Buried in Al-Jazari's section on water-raising machines is a mechanism converting rotary motion into reciprocating motion, used to drive a piston-style water pump. That's a crankshaft. It's one of the most consequential mechanical inventions in history. The most consequential mechanical inventions in history, the same basic principle that later made steam engines standard engineering history's credit heritage inventants. Al-Jazari's manuscript, dated 1206, describes a working crankshaft 300 years earlier. He didn't stop there. In the same section, he describes a segmental gear, a gear with teeth cut into only part of its circumference instead of the whole wheel, used to make his pumps more efficient by engaging only through a specific arc of rotation. That refinement usually gets credited to the European Renaissance workshop tradition. It isn't where it started. Beyond the elephant clock and the pumps, Al-Jazari built automated performers, musical boats, meant to float on a palace lake during parties, played drums, flutes, and cymbals through cammed rotating cylinders that struck each instrument at a programmed interval. That's functionally a music box. 500 years before Europe had one, he built a servant-shaped device that would hand a guest a jug of water, wait, then offer a towel. He built a peacock-shaped fountain that dispensed soap. He built a mechanism that automatically poured drinks for guests at a feast, complete with internal timing to regulate the pour. An early automated dispenser that predates the concept by centuries. And he built something even more elaborate than the elephant, the castle clock, reconstructed by scholars at over 11 meters tall, incorporating a model of the zodiac, 5 automaton musicians, and a mechanism that let operators manually adjust the length of day and night according to the season. Some historians, studying the manuscript, describe it as one of the earliest known programmable machines, because its behavior could be reset by the person operating it, rather than being fixed at construction. None of this survived by luck. Al-Jazari wrote his manuscript because he understood something specific. Mechanical knowledge dies with its inventor, unless someone documents it well enough for a stranger to rebuild it alone. This video doesn't just describe what eats device. Modern engineers have tested that claim directly. Ibn Battuta Mall in Dubai runs a working-scale reproduction of the elephant clock today, and researchers studying the history of mechanical engineering have rebuilt several of his water-raising devices and automata using nothing but the original manuscript. They work, not approximately. As described, for centuries after Al-Jazari's death, his manuscript circulated mainly among specialists, copied by hand and studied in scattered collections across the Islamic world, and later in European archives, that acquired them without fully grasping what they held. It wasn't until the 20th century that historians of technology, working through the manuscript in detail, started cross-referencing his crankshaft and segmental gear against the timeline of European mechanical engineering, and noticed the gap. 300 years is not a rounding error. It's long enough that entire textbooks had to be quietly revised once the dates were checked properly. The materials Al-Jazari had access to were water, brass, wood, and geometry. The problems he was solving were control problems: how to regulate flow, how to convert one kind of motion into another, how to make a sequence of events repeat on a fixed schedule without a hand on it. Those are the same problems every mechanical and electrical engineer since has been solving, just with different tools. A modern engineer looking at the sinking bowl inside that elephant would recognize it immediately as a rate-controlled timer, the same concept underneath an hourglass, a metronome or a countdown circuit, just built from water instead of sand or electricity. That's the part worth sitting with. 1206 is not a footnote in engineering history. It's a working demonstration that the fundamentals of control engineering existed 1,000 years before silicon, powered by a bowl of water sinking at a rate one man calculated by hand in a workshop in Diyarbakir for a court that wanted to know what time it was.